This is Benjyfishy. Starting off as a Fortnite prodigy and eventually growing into a Valorant pro, he's one of the youngest to ever compete in not one, but two esports professionally. Very few players manage to establish themselves as titans in one game, let alone two. Yet Benjyfishy has done just that, making the leap from the world of battle royales to the tactical FPS world of Valorant. This is his story. Benjyfish, otherwise known as Benjyfishy, was born on April 2nd, 2004. To understand Benjyfishy's rise in Valorant, we first have to go back to where it all started: Fortnite. Fortnite's Battle Royale mode exploded in popularity by late 2018. With its combination of building mechanics, competitive gameplay, and a wide appeal to both casual and competitive players, it was at the forefront of the competitive scene. It was only natural for Benji to be drawn to it. At just age 15, Benji became one of the youngest and brightest stars in the game, achieving feats that would define his early esports career. Benji's first real breakthrough came during the 2019 Fortnite World Cup. After being signed by one of the most well-known esports organizations of all time, NRG, Benji competed in both solos and duos qualifiers for the World Cup. He was already a well-known name in the Fortnite community, but this event solidified his place as one of the top players in the world. Qualifying for both events was no small feat. Over 40 million players attempted to qualify, with only 200 making the final stage in New York. Out of all those players, Benji placed an impressive 25th in solos and 14th in duos with his partner Mr. Savage.
One more. Let's go! Let's fucking go, Savage! Let's go, dude! Let's fucking go! Let's go, dude!
To say Benji was a natural would be an understatement. His mechanical skill, lightning-fast building, and deep understanding of Fortnite's competitive meta set him apart from the rest. His earnings from the World Cup and subsequent tournaments totaled over $650,000 by the time he was 16. This would only further prove that he was one of Fortnite's elite players. While continuing to compete under NRG Esports, he consistently finished near the top of the standings in various competitions, becoming a regular fixture in the Fortnite Champion Series. Benji became increasingly frustrated with the meta of Fortnite, and he started to lose hope in the game. Quote, "Fortnite was evolving, and not always in ways that the competitive community appreciated. As Epic Games added new mechanics, planes, mechs, environmental hazards, and more, the game became more unpredictable. These changes frustrated pro players who thrived on skill and strategy rather than randomness. Benji, who had built his reputation on precise mechanics and quick decision-making, found himself at odds with a game that felt increasingly difficult to control. The turning point came in early 2022. Benji, who had spent the last 3 years at the top of the Fortnite scene, shocked his fanbase by announcing he was stepping away from competitive Fortnite.
But I am officially quitting competitive Fortnite to pursue Valorant.
For a player who had achieved so much, almost everything, it was a difficult decision, but one that was inevitable. He no longer had the same love for the game. Benji's fellow Fortnite teammates and fans all supported him in this move, which is always great to see in a competitive environment. Benji states that he couldn't really force himself to get on the game anymore. And so, Benji made the difficult decision to leave behind the game that had defined his early career. For him, Fortnite had become a chore rather than a passion, and that was something he couldn't ignore. But what came next was an unexpected decision: Valorant. Valorant, released by Riot Games in 2020, quickly emerged as one of the most popular tactical first-person shooters in the world. Combining the precision of CSGO with the ability-based gameplay of games like Overwatch, Valorant offered a fresh competitive environment for players coming from various backgrounds. Many top-tier professionals from games like CSGO, Overwatch, and Apex Legends made the switch, and the game rapidly developed a strong esports ecosystem. Benji, already a fan of competitive shooters, began playing Valorant casually on the side while still competing in Fortnite. His skills transferred over fairly quickly as he started showing off to his stream very early on after his announcement.
Give him the ace, give him the ace. Oh my god!
At first, it was just a side project, a way to unwind from the pressures of Fortnite, but as he spent more time in Valorant, something clicked. The tactical depth, team coordination, and mechanical precision required in Valorant spoke to Benji's competitive nature. It was different from Fortnite in almost every way, but that was exactly what Benji was looking for. For Benji, Valorant became a new challenge. It was an opportunity to reinvent himself in a completely different genre, But this time, he wasn't rushing into the competitive spotlight. Despite being one of the biggest names in Fortnite, Benji took a different approach to Valorant. Rather than immediately trying to join a professional team or participate in tournaments, he took a step back. He spent months grinding ranked matches, learning the ins and outs of the game, and studying the strategies of top Valorant teams. He began playing for Tier 3 teams as a duelist, but quickly realized that he wasn't the best at this role, and he found his love for Sentinels.
For Tier 3, and at the start of Tier 2, I was a duelist player, but I realized, I wasn't that good at duelist, and I also liked Sentinel a lot more. From then, I was grinding it.
Benji knew that the skills he had honed in Fortnite wouldn't immediately translate to success in Valorant. The two games required vastly different skill sets. While Fortnite emphasized fast building, reflexes, and solo plays, Valorant demanded patience, communication, and team coordination. And Benji wasn't willing to jump into competitive play until he was sure he could compete at the highest level. For nearly a year, Benji spent his time scrimming with different teams, learning different agent roles, and climbing the Valorant ranked ladder. He played Killjoy, Sage, and Sova, mastering the utility-heavy aspects of the game. Finally, after months of grinding and improving, Benji was ready to take his first step into the professional Valorant scene. In 2023, he joined Enterprise Esports, a team competing in the VCL's East Surge. This was Benji's first taste at high-level competition in Valorant, and it didn't take long for him to prove that he belonged there. Benji got along with his teammates and quickly formed bonds with them as early as the first stages of boot camp. Benji's move to Enterprise Esports marked the beginning of a new chapter in his career. No longer just the Fortnite prodigy, he was now taking his first steps into a world where teamwork and precise strategy were everything. Competing in the Valorant Champions Tour's lower tier leagues, he had to prove himself from scratch in a game where his Fortnite fame didn't carry the same weight. The early months were a grind, but Benji's commitment to improvement began to pay off. Enterprise steadily improved, competing in various regional tournaments and scrimming against some of the best teams in the Tier 3 Valorant scene. Benji found himself immensely helping out Enterprise's underdog status by quickly bringing them onto 2 second-place wins just under Ascend, the former world champion.
Close right. I got. Last on side. Up in. I'm going right, come right, yeah, go, this swing.
Benji quickly adapted to the game. Becoming known for his smart plays and clutch moments, his aim, honed over in years of Fortnite, transferred seamlessly to the precise gunplay of Valorant. Benji's dedication and skill did not go unnoticed. In mid-2024, he was signed by Team Heretics, a well-established organization with a proven track record in Valorant. Heretics was struggling in their current season, only racking up 2 total wins. The team needed to act fast in order to reach the last chance qualifier. Benji played in the qualifier, and in a devastating loss against Koi Esports, Benji had to wait an entire year to compete in another VCT game. Joining a team with serious ambitions in Valorant Champions Tour was a massive step for Benji. No longer an outsider, he was now part of one of Europe's most competitive teams. As a part of Team Heretics, Benji had made a statement in Valorant. He was pretty much a core part of the team along with his teammate Boo. But they needed to change the roster in the offseason if they even wanted a shot at playoffs. One of the players picked up was Mini Boo, an insane duelist player who just happened to be Boo's little brother. So the synergy for them was already very strong. Picking up Reens and Woot, 2 very good players already competing in the Turkish league, the team had a very strong foundation. This was until they found out that Woot was still too young to compete in any VCT matches. So Heretics acquired Patatek, who would eventually leave the team for Team Liquid when Woot was able to join later on. Team Heretics quickly climbed their ranks, advancing through the regional VCT events and even making a strong push in the EMEA Challengers circuit. They ended up clean sweeping teams such as Foot, Carmine Corp, and even one of the most notorious teams at the time, Na'Vi. For Benji, this was validation. He wasn't just a Fortnite kid anymore. He was proving himself as a legitimate professional in one of the most competitive esports in the world. Team Heretics' 2024 VCT run was nothing short of remarkable. They reached the main event, Masters Madrid. This was all Benji wanted. He wanted to be able to play a game in his home country, and that he did. At this stage, Benji's individual performance was a key part of their success. He wasn't just a role player, he was making the big plays in crucial moments.
But what can he really do? There's a cage. Just to play anti-flash position. Nasty adjustment. Snaps upwards. They don't know where he is. They're trying to hunt him down. Lost as anything. And something did not even try to get the trade. He went for a react play into heaven. He's in heaven.
Sadly for Heretics, their VCT run was cut short. with a devastating loss in the first round of the Master Madrid series against Sentinels, who went on to win the entire tournament. The series ended in a 2-1 Sentinels victory, with Map 3 being an 11-13 loss for Team Heretics. At this point, their only shot was taking out Paper Rex. These games were really where Benji started to shine. Benji dropped 17, 24, and 21 kills respectively in the 3 games, all as Killjoy and Cypher. Sadly, Benji and his team could not figure out how to attack on the final map, Split, with PRX's Something on Jet using an operator and absolutely locking down sightlines. Team Heretics came up short yet again, but Benji was determined to improve.
Man, it was insane. I mean, just to be at a Masters event for me was like incredible, just because it was so soon, you know, I really didn't expect myself to get to that point.
After the heartbreaking defeat in VCT Madrid, Team Heretics were back at it again with another really strong EMEA qualifier season, placing 2nd overall just under Fnatic and qualifying for the next VCT Master Division, which took place in Shanghai, China. A long month of matches ensued between the best teams in the entire Valorant scene, and Team Heretics was on fire, beating teams such as FPX, EDG, and 100 Thieves. The one team Benji and Team Heretics lost to was G2 Esports in a 1-2 defeat early on in the series. 5 days later, on June 8th, 2024, after beating 100 Thieves in the loser bracket, Heretics and G2 would rematch for the final spot in the grand finals against Gen G. Team Heretics must have studied G2 like the back of their hands, because the match was a complete blowout. They 3-0'd G2, with the maps being won 13-2, 13-6, and 13-8.
The hopes and dreams of G2 have come to an end. Lightning will not strike twice in Shanghai.
This was it. Benji had finally made it to the grand finals, and no matter the outcome, and you could tell he and his team deserved it after all the trials and tribulations they had gone through. After a 5-game long series against Gen G, Benji and Team Heretics would go on to lose in a back-to-back 3-13 and 4-13 blowout. For Benji, this wasn't necessarily bad news. It wasn't the end of his course, as he had gotten closer than he'd ever been to winning a Valorant Masters final, and he had a shot at qualifying for Valorant Champions.
I think now that we've had that experience of losing when you're up, that's probably what I'm going to try to take the chance.
The defining moments of Benji's Valorant career so far came during the VCT EMEA playoffs in late 2024. Team Heretics faced off against some of the best teams in Europe, including Team Vitality, Foot, and Koi. These were the giants of the region, and for Benji, this was his chance to truly prove that he could compete with the best and beat the same teams he had beaten before, all for a shot at showing over the past 2 years of work he could compete at the biggest event in Valorant Esports, Valorant Champions. Team Heretics placed 3rd overall in the EMEA Stage 2 qualifiers, which meant they were going to the biggest stage they'd ever seen, at the COEX Artium in Seoul, Korea. They were champions contenders. Heretics would go on to win against FPX 2-1 in some very close games. Then Benji had to face the team that knocked his team out of the Masters Division, Gen G. In some more close matches, Team Heretics came out on top, a feeling that made Benji feel like he could really make it all the way, and they did. Beating teams such as Sentinels, DRX, and Leviathan, Benji would go up against Edward Gaming, otherwise known as EDG, in a best-of-5 for the #1 title in Valorant. In one of the best series Valorant has ever seen, the 5th deciding game would ultimately go to EDG.
It's up to Boo to push them back and away. TP's up and over. No kill to be found. It's one man. What can he do against the might of EDG?
So what's next? Benji had an incredible journey, and it's clear that his rise to fame is one of perseverance, adaptability, and a relentless pursuit of passion. From his meteoric rise in Fortnite to his courageous decision to leave behind a game that defined his career, Benji's evolution is a testament to the ever-changing nature of esports and the personal growth of its players. Benji could have stayed in Fortnite, being safe with his choices, but one that wouldn't give him happiness. He chose a different path, one that required him to start from scratch to rebuild his reputation and to prove himself in an entirely new arena. His transition to Valorant wasn't just about switching games, it was about reigniting his competitive drive and finding joy in the grind once again. In Valorant, Benji has already proven that he's more than just a Fortnite kid. He's a talented, hard-working competitor who understands the importance of teamwork, strategy, and mental resilience. Whether it's clutching in a high-stakes VCT match or learning from his mistakes in scrims, Benji's commitment to improvement has earned him the respect of both his teammates and his opponents. And while his journey in Valorant is still unfolding, one thing is certain: Benjyfishy is here to stay. As he looks ahead to future tournaments, having already reached the highest levels of the Valorant Champions Tour, there's no telling how far he can go. But beyond the wins, the losses, and the stats, Benji's story is ultimately about passion. It's about the love for the game, the thrill of the competition, and the desire to be the best. And as long as that passion burns within him, there's truly no limit for what he can achieve in the world of esports. Thank you for watching Benjyfishy's journey. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Valorant stories to come.